It's being described as the biggest cancer therapy breakthrough in decades.
Well, after surviving bowel, pancreatic, liver and skin cancer, doctors discovered that 59-year-old James Hull has a set of unique blood cells which have the capability to recognise, attack and kill cancer.
And as scientists investigate how the discovery could help save the lives of others, today we're joined by James alongside Professor Daniel Davies, and welcome both of you.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you for coming in today. So until February 2010, you had very good health.
Fit as a fiddle, relatively.
Yeah. And so what were the first signs that there was something wrong?
In February of 2010, I was taking a group down to watch Wales v France, and I just had a dreadful abdominal stomach pain, which lasted 4 or 5 days, of course. You know, being sort of medically background, I thought, oh, it'll pass. So I didn't do anything about it. I went off on holiday with the children to France and got rushed back because I had such constipation, if I can say that.
No, it's fine. We're very open here.
And I had all the blood tests done, saying, right, you're obviously drinking a little bit too much rosé, cut down on everything, you'll be fine. And then in February of that year, I was at home and I started vomiting up poo.
Yeah.
And luckily, my brother-in-law, who's a doctor, came in that morning and said, right, you've got to go to hospital. I was rushed into Hereford County, who couldn't... They knew something was seriously wrong, but they couldn't operate because I was so dehydrated. So they rehydrated me for 24 hours and then did an emergency op and removed a huge tumour from my bowel. The surgeons decided that it had spread through my lymph nodes, so they took those and my appendix for good measure. And that was it. And then I picked up MRSA, so the chemotherapy was delayed for 6 months.
Yeah.
But I didn't get any side effects from the chemotherapy, nothing.
And so that's the extraordinary thing. I mean, once they opened you up, I mean, really surgeons didn't know how you were alive with the amount of cancer that was inside your body. And you had absolutely no side effect from the chemo at all. So the chemo was able to do its job. And eventually, did the cancer go?
Well, yes and no. So on the review scans after the chemotherapy, it was like a sketch from Faulty Towers. The doctor said, do you want the good or the bad news? Because the good news is we seem to have controlled your bowel cancer, i.e. there's no secondaries.
Yeah.
But there is definitely a tumour in your pancreas.
Oh, my gosh.
So I thought, oh, wow, OK. So after a number of consultations, which were pretty grim, because the words that my wife and I clearly remember is you won't survive the operation, but you've got no choice.
Oh, my gosh.
So, so I had a very large operation at the Royal Free. You know, I'm grateful to everybody who's obviously helped me to survive. They removed the tumour and my spleen and a couple of other bits and pieces, I think.
Yeah.
And I was meant to be in there for, I think, for 3 or 4 weeks, but I was out within 12 days and told, I was given a bag by Professor Davidson, who said, you need a gram of penicillin, you need a steroid, you need this, you need that. And I remember him clearly looking at me and he said, you're not going to take any of this, are you? And I said, nope. And so I left the Royal Free. That was that.
Well, you've been told twice that that you couldn't... It's a miracle that you'd survived. There's a 94% mortality rate with pancreatic cancer. You were told to say your goodbyes. Given 18 months, 8 years later, you're still here. And then in the ensuing years, 2013 scans revealed that there were 2 secondary tumours on your liver. They were surgically removed. Then 2014, common skin cancer doctors found on your arm started disappearing without the need for surgery. In 2017, doctors discovered what they believed to be a malignant cancerous melanoma on your scalp. Under investigation, it contained no cancerous cells. 2018 scans revealed that there were 6 secondary tumours found on your liver, and they couldn't operate on those because it would have taken so much of your liver that it would have rendered it ineffective.
Yeah, that's basically what happened. So that was, as you quite rightly point out, subsequent scans then showed the diagnosis to be correct.
Yeah.
And so I went back to see the surgeons, and that was the moment where things, I suppose, got serious, if you want. And they said, you need a liver transplant. And I said, no, I've had enough surgery now. So I elected not to have that surgery and thought, well, we'll see how I get on my own. So you fast forward then from January the 8th, 2018, clearly etched on my mind, and you start thinking about other things, your family, your children. And in June of 2019, thank you, June of 2019, the scans showed that I had 16 secondaries in my liver and still do. But I'm sorry about this.
No, please don't apologise.
The good news is that the activity index, the aggression of these tumours, had dropped from 17 to 4, which is exceptionally good news. And in other words, they're not as active as they were. Sorry. And so we fast forward to today, where I've still got those, but I feel, absolutely fine, apart from being a bit emotional.
No.
I feel absolutely fine, and,
Well,
the story goes on.
You've been an incredibly lucky man in your life, and a very, very talented dentist. You had a large string of dental practices, which you sold for a lot of money.
Yes.
You had a big classic car collection, which you also sold for a lot of money. And when I'm talking about a lot of money, this is a massive amount of money.
Yes.
Enough for you to fund Continuum Life Sciences.
Correct.
And to gather a team together to begin to look into what on earth is happening with you. And this is where Professor Daniel Davies comes in. Daniel, what's happening in his body?
Right. So, essentially, one of the ideas about why he might have done well with his treatments and dealing with the cancer, it could be down to his immune system, because we've been studying how the immune system works for many decades, and we now know that people's immune system can, in sometimes, be able to fight their cancers, and that could be a crucial factor in why some people do better than others with their after their treatments and dealing with their cancer. And so it's possible that that's a crucial aspect of what's happening.
And so, James, just tell us about this phone call that you had when they were doing the tests originally, and you spoke to somebody on the phone, and they'd put your blood, your cells in there, and it was described as Armageddon because they were just attacking the cancer.
This is the Continuum Research Team in Cardiff University, led by Professor Sewell. And yes, it's accurate that they used a control group of healthy people with tumours that have been recently removed, put their blood on theirs and my cells on the same tumours, and the words used were carnage, apocalypse, that my white cells were destroying them.
The cancer should be scared because
he did
of this find, which is just, it's extraordinary. And Professor Davies, you've said that, this could be the beginning of an immune therapy revolution. This is very exciting, and a lot of people will be watching this. We know how many people are affected by cancer. Everybody really has got a story to tell about cancer. A lot of people will be watching this saying, hurry up, when will this be available? How far away are you from that?
OK, so it is important that we have the right perspective. So what we've seen is, cells that can kill cancer cells, and the way in which they kill the cancer cells we still need to work out, but it does look like it's a new aspect. Some parts of it look like they're kind of new ideas about how the immune system works. The immune system normally works to kill things that are obviously different from your body, like a bacteria or a virus, but it can see cancer, even though cancer is really part of your own body and the cells have just changed to keep dividing. So the immune system can see cancer, but there are some interesting ways and ideas about how they could see cancer. So we need to work out these details. In terms of how long it's going to take, can I just give an example of that? So when CAR T cells is the idea that you take cells out of someone, you modify those cells and put them back in to see their cancer. So that was first started in 1993, and it wasn't really approved as an actual treatment until 2017.
Wow.
But these are really long journeys. It takes a very long time to work out the molecular details of how something works, to having ideas for medicine, and then really proving that that's a medicine. I did actually write all this in a book, The Beautiful Cure, which is how James got to learn about that journey of how long it really takes for this stuff to happen. So it's really important, because I know that patients are keen for us to make new medicines. So I don't think it's an overhype to say that it's a revolutionary time in terms of making new medicines, but the journey is very, very long.
But, the fact that it could be the Holy Grail, that it could be a game changer, is exciting in itself. But you need other people as well, because you hopefully, it'd be amazing, if you were, and it's all based on you, but you're looking for other people that they may carry these cells.
Yeah. Look, science dictates that you have to have more than one person. And as you know from the press on the weekend, we have been inundated. We have 7 oncology nurses answering the phones who are taking calls from all over the world, and people are saying, I will fly and give you my blood, from Australia, America. It's been astounding. And just on Dan's point there, the CAR T, one of the CAR T pioneers in the world was a Professor Carl June from University of Pennsylvania. And I can tell you that he is going to be joining Continuum and working with us this year.
Wow.
He's so interested in it.
What a team.
I know.
It is. I mean, some of the best British scientists are already involved. There will be more as I track them down and persuade them this is a good research thing to get involved with.
Well, we'll put all your details of how to get in touch if you are a survivor similar to you.
5 years post-cancer, we'd love to hear from you. And people have been so kind and generous to us,
Well,
ringing in.
we'll put those details online.
Thank
And
you.
it's a hell of a story, and stay well.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Please do, and keep up the good work
Amazing.
as well.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.